Devin still on the man restriction?
He's still on one.
Looking at just ish in terms of, he's got a limited number of games left. Seems like I can even rationalize that out because you couldn't beat him, but then obviously stepped out to a very small number.
I hadn't even thought about it. It's not my decision. We play him because he's a really good player and he's helped us a ton, and that's something that we'll have to figure out when we need to, but it's not something I've thought about.
As far as Kevin, what has he been able to do in practice?
Same thing you guys have been filming. Yeah. He hadn't done anything. We scrimmaged a little bit yesterday, so he hadn't done that, but he's in a lot of our drills and getting up shots and stuff like that. So he looks great. He's in great shape. He's always in really good shape, and he's going game speed like he always does, but he hasn't checked the boxes as far as playing in certain competition environments like 3-on-3, 5-on-5 to move towards the floor and get ready to play. He hadn't done that yet.
Last couple of games have been the first in like 4 years. You guys haven't had the kills kind of point of attack defense out there. How have you seen Josh kind of step into that role as a starter?
Yeah, Josh and Tori have been taking up some of that role, and it's going to be something we have to figure out going forward, and be open-minded about what those guys can do and not compare to what Mikhail did. It's just not fair to everybody else to always think about that. We have to figure out how those guys affect the team in a good way from a defensive standpoint, and then maybe build some stuff around them the way that we tried to do with Mikhail. But there is some crossover. But I think you have to get rid of that mindset, because it can, you just end up being critical or judgmental about what people can't do as opposed to looking at what they can. And we're just trying to make sure we take advantage of the attributes that the guys on the team presently have.
Darius and TJ, obviously, two new guys to kind of work in. How do you approach that as far as seeing what they can do, but not overwhelming them with? We
have to see. I mean, you can't play all those guys. That's when I hear you guys asking about all of these guys, I'm like, man, how many guys do you think we can play? We have to figure out like when we can use those guys, because you don't want to put them out there and have them too overwhelmed with all the stuff that we try to do. And at the same time, when you look at the rotations, like we've had some guys that have been here that have played well. And so it's going to be hard to try to find time for everybody. But to your point, it's, we've adopted the less is more to try not to, overwhelm them with every call that we have on offense and all the wrinkles on defense that we try to put in play. But the coaches have done a really good job, as they always do, of taking guys post-practice, pre-practice, and even now trying to get those guys up to speed so that if they are called upon, they have an idea of what we're doing.
You sit down and talk about it. You guys are in a unique position because of the amount of increase you had. Pretty much everyone on the roster proven themselves in the past. So how challenging is it for you as a coach to give everyone a fair shot when we reach this point here soon where everyone is healthy and there's only a certain amount of spots?
Well, none of it's fair. That's just the way it is. And I think, guys, if you've been around long enough, you understand it. When it seems unfair to you, it's not personal. It's just the way it is. So we typically play 9.5 guys. That half sounds weird, but that guy may play, he may not play, he may play 8 minutes, he may play 15. And so I always look at that guy as a really important guy from a mindset standpoint, because you just have to be ready. And, we've morphed into 11 before, but that was usually because of foul trouble or something happened in the game. But we're going to try to stick to the rotations we've had just because we want to try to develop a rhythm. And then you're talking about Kevin coming back and then Terrence, once that becomes whatever. Can I say that right now? Cole? No? Okay, good. Can you rewind that in Twitter world? Can y'all do that? Yeah, my buddy Terrence, I grew up with him in PG County. He's coming. There you go. He's the one that gives me a clue every day. He forgot to give it to me this morning. Y'all like that? Somebody else asked me something else so I can get out of that. Yeah, there you go.
Some of your thoughts on De'Aaron Fox and just him being the engine of that team.
He just ran through here. You guys didn't see him. Like, he's just so doggone fast, man. It's like to move like that with the ball and be able to finish and get to the rim, the mid-range game. When you watch, I remember him at Kentucky and just thinking to myself, like, this kid is the best guard in the class. I was thinking how I don't know much about scouting because he wasn't looked at that way at the time. And then he just kept getting better and better, and he's done the same thing. And you admire guys from afar, the toughness, the want to be able to establish something in the city and not move around, that kind of thing I've watched with him. And when we were in the bubble, we were with Sac a lot. So we saw those guys a ton, and he's just a really good player. I just, you love his mentality, you respect the competition, but he's a guy that you game plan for in so many ways because he's just a really good player.
Yeah, how important putting in paint touches kind of what you like.
I mean, it's utmost importance, but nobody's been able to do it. I think it's the really, really good players in the league. You have to change up defenses as best you can and try to show them a wall as best you can. Nobody's been able to keep him out of the paint on a consistent basis, but that's always the goal for every team.
On De'Aaron's side, just given that it's a relatively new group for the Kings and kind of first-year head coach with that group, but what stands out to you about the season they've had so far?
I mean, Mike's not a first-year head coach. I don't, Mike's one of the best in the game. I mean, he's, a guy that we all watch, and I don't think coaches are all that surprised because you could kind of see it building with De'Aaron. When you have a player like that, and then you get a coach like Mike, and you add some bonus, and then some of the other players they have. It's not surprising, but that you got to put it together, and they all have. And offensively, they're one of the best in the league, and you knew that was coming with the players they had and what Mike, was able to help Steve do in Golden State. And so when you watch them on film, and then you film the numbers, and then the talent, it's a lot. And so it's not surprising that they've had the success that they've had, and they have such a really cool fan base and a number of things that have been put together there well. So it makes for a lot to deal with on a nightly basis.
And you guys came out and were amazing. And the teams being where they are, I don't think anybody even within the organization expected them to be there right now. And obviously things can change. But can you speak to being in that position where you're kind of just surprised, and how that can play to your advantage, and how it's difficult to maintain as well?
Yeah, I think when you're in that position, I can only tell you what I learned after the fact was we did sneak up on people, and then we didn't, and it created a big target. Before we had a small target, nobody really paid much attention to us, really disrespected us. I remember people didn't think we should even be in the bubble, and that became a bit of a chip. And I think Sac has had that chip and then you start to play well, and then you create a target, and you're not sneaking up on anybody anymore, and you become a team that everybody wants to get after, because you know if you don't, you're going to get clipped. So that was what I learned. You know, you can use some of the stuff as motivation, but then after a while, you know, teams start coming after you, and you become a team that, you know, you got to bring it every night, and that's what they do. They bring it every night.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.